Peppermint is an action thriller starring Jennifer Garner, John Gallagher Jr., John Ortiz, and Juan Pablo Raba. It is directed by Pierre Morel. In it, Jennifer Garner plays Riley North, whose family is struggling with middle-class issues. She has to work overtime at a bank, her husband is trying to make ends meet at his car repair shop, and no one shows up at the birthday party of Riley's daughter because the mother of one of her classmates boycotts it. Oh, the drama. Still, John Wick lost his marbles over his murdered dog, so let's see how this plays out. When her husband and daughter are killed in a drive-by shootout, Riley manages to survive. She then identifies the killers who are found to be not guilty thanks to a corrupt lawyer and judge. Riley then goes off the grid to train in armed and unarmed combat and returns after 5 years to take revenge on the people who killed her family. That's about all you need to know about this movie because I'm sure you can see how this plays out. And honestly, there are virtually no surprises here. The story goes from one plot point to the next as Riley closes in on the mastermind behind it all. And there are a bunch of violent action sequences to string the story together. Now, I personally don't think that Jennifer Garner is the most versatile actress, but she does action pretty well. So it's a little surprised that she's essentially trying to be the male version of Liam Neeson in Taken. It should come as no shock that director Pierre Morel also directed the first Taken film, so the comparison is hardly far-fetched. But it seems that it's too far-fetched to expect anything new from this vigilante origin story. It follows the same tropes that we've seen before. Director Pierre Morel doesn't have much to work with as far as the screenplay goes. You're not allowed room to develop an emotional connection to Riley or her family, so the unfortunate events don't resonate in any way. Riley's transition from being a suburban mom to a stone-cold killer also happens mostly off-screen, making it even harder to understand how she manages to drop her morals so easily. Okay, perhaps you could argue that it's post-traumatic stress disorder that she manages to channelize into a killing frenzy, but stop me if you haven't heard that story before. This is made even worse by paper-thin characters across the board. John Gallagher Jr. and John Ortiz play Carmichael and Beltran, two detectives in the police force that have an interesting dynamic. We also see most of the events unfold through their perspective. But then they're focused on Riley and we barely get any insights into them. This becomes a problem later because we're suddenly expected to care about them when the story needs us to. Alright, so what about the action, you may ask? Let's say that Riley North is no John Wick. The fight sequences try to be edgy and are gruesome enough by today's standards, but there's not much excitement or momentum to them. They don't get the jump cut treatment, but that's about it. What's worse is that the story is riddled with plot holes, but the screenplay tries to address them in strange ways that are terribly convenient and just add up to lazy writing. I'm going with 2.5 stars for Peppermint. It's not terrible as such, but there's nothing new or inventive here, so you'd be better off waiting for this to show up on a streaming service soon enough. Guys, if you watch Peppermint, let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, tune in to It's Entertainment, only on Mirror Now, you first.